Good morning, Judy Ahrens, residents of Orange County. I've got my mind racing with my son-in-law, my son and daughter-in-law coming. I'm sorry. Josephine County. I just want to comment on something that Commissioner Hare commented on. We were talking about under the Community Action Month and the percentage of poverty in this community. And you know, I would like to just see a citizens group get together to why we have the poverty. And maybe it needs to be leaders, elected leaders, and community members that could get together. And I bet you they can come up with an idea of why we have it, so we could resolve that problem. A lot of it stems, and I've heard from meetings that I go to, it's just we are just choked to death with regulations. And the regulations are so expensive to get a building permit, to get something here and there, and people can't do it. Even on people starting little small businesses, which is it's just the stronghold of this country. That's how this country was built. And yet people are just so stymied because of the financial impact on any community where the Planning Commission and regulators charge exorbitant prices. Also on poverty, you know, it amazes me that we're poor, and I just find it hard to believe that every child in this community has to be on a free lunch program. And that's what the city says, that every child gets a free lunch. And it behooves me, because if you go and check the kids what they're wearing, a lot of them, I would challenge you to go to some of these schools and just see how they've got their iPads, they've got their latest fad clothes and stuff, and how the heck do they even get on a free lunch program? Maybe it's just part of the problem with elected leaders who seem to, I don't know, through the system, and then the hardworking people that work 2 or 3 jobs, they're paying for that. It's really a crime, and I think it's shameful. You know, if we want to get back to, once again, eliminating poverty, let's see if we can bring families together. I know, Commissioner Hare, you said you sent out one letter initially to have the pastors. I'm still trying to get a hold of some of these big pastors in these big churches to even return my calls. It's kind of difficult. I don't know why. But as far as getting the family unity, there are a lot of divorces. I mean, if you even check with all the churches and stuff, you'll see the high rate of divorces. It means kids aren't sitting down to the dinner table sharing values. If we could get back to the values, and then when they grow up, it's kind of like a chain reaction, the food chain. They hear the values at the dinner table. They have responsible of pulling weeds, like my little son did when he was 7 years old. He pulled a lot of weed. Then you get older, and then you learn responsibility. You have a reliable job. You get to your job on time. Employers are saying they can't even find people that are responsible. And yet we find that just giving out freebies is the way to go. I think that's going to induce more poverty. Thank you.
Ms. Ahrens, you've been coming to these meetings for probably 3 years now, and I sometimes struggle with what you have to say. It's not that I disagree with the direction of where you're going or the criticisms that you have, but under the purview of this board, you're often referencing things that are state and federal issues that we don't have jurisdiction over, or issues of the family. I can't mandate that people sit down and have dinner together, or that they stay together, or that there's a number of other issues that you've referenced over the last 3 years. I'd encourage you to try to find tangible solutions that you could put before this board, or things that you could do personally that would be an effective use of your time to really address the serious issues that you're very knowledgeable of. I think that's key. Everyone can come before this board and complain about state, federal, or even city issues. That's not really an effective use or productive. I would just encourage you to try to find something where I'm very familiar with the challenges, not just of this county, but of the state and of this nation. Highlighting them does very little to actually produce a solution and be effective. So I would just encourage you to try to be more effective in that response, addressing those issues.
Okay. Good morning. Judy Ahrens, Josephine County resident. Just want to remember that I've been coming to these public commissioner meetings for over 3 years. And I have witnessed proclamations and presentations that sometimes have been part of the public commissioners' meetings. So this morning, in Commissioner Simon, concerning the comments that you made about me last week, I would like to make a presentation. I would like to present to you this cake I made this morning. It's just a very, very special cake I baked. What makes this cake so special is that it's very symbolic of what it represents. Thanks to my telephone prayer partner in Virginia, because we pray about our country and our senators every morning at 6 a.m., and a few others from other states. You see, this cake portion here, the chocolate part, it really represents the darkness of the world. And the strawberries represent the blood Christ shed on the cross for our sins and transgressions. The kulip represents the forgiveness of sins and making us lily white because of a perfect person that died, sacrificed for us. Now back to the chocolate cake portion. It's sad that I don't feel that myself and others, because are represented at a time when we come to speak and give of our time on Wednesday mornings. That's others. I know they presented other things, from opening the roads, Jack Swift, to other people presenting other items that have come here. And I feel like it's come on deaf ears. And what's also been more disappointing is that when we share our concerns to the county, that we as representatives seem to be ignored. But the biggest part of this chocolate cake is the feedback that we do get in the form of criticism from our concerns. That's even more troubling, as it mainly comes from in the form of belittling. One might even presume that it was a strategy technique, that by belittling citizens who speak out on their concerns, on their concerns about this community, that when it annoys a person, a representative, that others might even get the message and refrain from speaking out at all, because they don't want to get the same treatment, and that's very sad. And I've also noticed that like for instance, some of the things we have discussed at this meeting versus what I come before the commissioners discuss family values. And you notice we just had a proclamation this morning on recovery. Now, if we as representatives and leaders of the community were to talk about family values, our Constitution, which incidentally, for the month of September, we have September 17th, which is a very, very special day, Constitutional Day. Thank you very much. Mm-hmm.
Good morning, Vivian Kirkpatrick Pilger. I live in Grants Pass still. And I won't be repetitive, but I did want to say that I've known Judy Ahrens for approximately 14 years, and she has a very good heart. She's a very patriotic American. And when she comes up here and someone says, pretty much discourages her from getting up and speaking, I just don't think that's right, and I didn't appreciate it.
Dale Matthews, Grants Pass. I'll say a word about Judy as well. Judy does come up here and say her opinions. We're allowed to do that during our 3 minutes that you so generously give us. And if you're serious about wanting to be efficient in what you say, you should encourage Commissioner Hare to do the same, because he used part of his time last week to personally jump on me about something that had absolutely nothing to do with county business. If he's going to do that, then you should all pay attention to your admonitions to citizens who do a nice job here and give out free cakes. I wanted to know how she was going to deliver it. I wanted to be sure to get that on tape.
Sandy Casanelli, Merlin, Oregon. Since the county did not broadcast last week's weekly business session, Dale Matthews was kind enough to email it to people. It showed that last week Commissioner Hare gave a patronizing admonishment to a citizen that was totally out of order. He said that Judy Ahrens had been coming to these meetings for probably 3 years now, and although he did not disagree with her, he recommended that she not speak about federal, state, city, or family matters, since it might not be an effective use of time. Perhaps Commissioner Hare should take his own advice, equally limiting his efforts to only county issues. he could eliminate all his travel for federal, state, and city matters because it might also be a more effective use of time. But Mr. Hare has not been the only one on this board who has treated Mrs. Ahrens with unwarranted disrespect. Commissioner Hare berated Judy when she quoted from a founding father at a meeting. And who could forget when Cheryl Walker gave a lengthy discourse during a weekly business session defaming Mrs. Ahrens simply because she had submitted a public information request regarding one of Commissioner Walker's trips. Although Judy was not even present at that weekly business session, Commissioner Walker went on and on about how Judy had wasted county resources. Through crocodile tears, Cheryl said the trip was to visit an ailing father in Arizona and stated how inappropriate it was for Judy to have made the request at such a traumatic time. However, no apology, tearful or otherwise, was given to Judy when the real reason for the trip was revealed. Cheryl attended an out-of-state Rotary Club meeting. Last week, Commissioner Hare also encouraged Mrs. Ahrens to try to find tangible solutions that she could put before this board or that she could do personally. What an insult, just to name a few. What about the times Judy tried to get this board to realize it was making a mistake in pushing the 4 junk ordinances on the public? That went unheeded. Or the time she resubmitted Michael Klein's salary and employee reduction proposal. Or the time she organized last year's flag tribute during the month of July. Or the time she and a neighbor picked up trash on county property. Please think before you denigrate a citizen with such energy and patriotism, especially one who comes before you time after time with workable ideas and solutions. She's an asset to the county and should be treated as such.
All right, I'll bring it back to the board.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I just want to apologize to Judy if in any way you felt that my actions or my words were discouraging to you to want to come up and utilize your 3 minutes to discuss any issue that you choose. So I guess I had a terrible attempt at trying to refine what it is that you were coming to me and asking me to do or asking this board to accomplish when I just can't change some of the things that you're asking for. But that doesn't mean that they are not important. State and federal issues are oftentimes very important to what happens here on the ground. ONC legislation, a federal issue, Ms. Castanelli, that I will never not work on. The Affordable Care Act, an important issue to Josephine County, the state of Oregon. But I don't have any authority or jurisdiction. I don't have any entree with those who make those kinds of decisions to influence the direction of the healthcare system in either the state of Oregon or Josephine County or this nation. So I guess that's where I was trying to come from a standpoint. I will say that although your tactic is original, it is probably the most effective sitting next to this cake that I have not eaten breakfast yet and I'm just dying. It smells incredible. So, and I could say it again, I just apologize, Judy. That was not my intent, or ever will be for anybody else who comes up and speaks. It just gets frustrating for me too sometimes. So, Ms. Ahrens, you've been coming to these meetings for probably 3 years now, and I sometimes struggle with what you have to say. It's not that I disagree with the direction of where you're going or the criticisms that you have, but under the purview of this board, you're often referencing things that are state and federal issues that we don't have jurisdiction over, or issues of the family. I can't mandate that people sit down and have dinner together, or that they stay together, or that there's a number of other issues that you've referenced over the last 3 years. I'd encourage you to try to find tangible solutions that you could put before this board, or things that you could do personally that would be an effective use of your time.